was a fairy tale. You were the prince. I used to be a damsel in distress. You took me by the hand and you picked me up at 6.
Yo, Taylor, I'm gonna let you finish, but first I'm gonna talk to these nice people about fairy tales. Okay, so, welcome back everyone. This week is Fairy Tale Week, according to Lauren. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about Halloween this weekend, which is kind of loosely tied into fairy tales. A lot of people dress up like fairy tale characters. I, on the other hand, made a fabulous Ash Ketchum costume, which took a lot of work. I spent many, many nights working on it. I hand-painted several Pokeballs, and a bunch of little ones too. What else? I had to hand paint a hat with the symbol, and it was so fun. I'll put up a picture for you. A picture of me and my friend Stacy. She was a nerd. Classy. Nerdy girl. What else? Okay, so, fairy tales. Personally, right now, my favorite fairy tale, I don't know if it counts as a fairy tale, but Alice in Wonderland. The original Disney version. I love, love, love Alice in Wonderland. It's been a favorite of mine for a long time. And, what else? Well, some other fairy tales that I like. I don't know if any of you ever saw The 10th Kingdom. It's like a 10-hour miniseries that was on, I can't remember what station, but it was on TV a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And, I just downloaded it the other day, and me and Andrew were watching it, and it's funny that Lauren chose fairy tales, because that was right while I was watching the series. It's just this hodgepodge of, like, every well-known fairy tale, Cinderella, Snow White, Jack and the Beanstalk, just everything thrown into this magical land that, it's a really good series. I would highly recommend it. You have to get the director's cut, which is the full 10-hour version, but, yes, you should look into that. And the soundtrack's very good too, which I'm a sucker for soundtracks. Yeah, so fairy tales are actually a very important part of like any culture. I guess I should probably talk about Korean fairy tales a little too, considering I study Korean. The one that comes to mind is, what's it called? It's called The Fox Daughter, or The Fox Sister. And, okay, well, so in America, we like fairy tales with happy endings, but the original, like, Grimm fairy tales and, like, Korean fairy tales, Asian fairy tales, all like to have very sad endings, which really, like, hit the point home, I guess, or drive the point home for, like, the moral of the story. So, like, they have some events occur, and, like, to show you that, like, what you should not do, they have a sad ending. One example is The Fox Sister, where there's a man who makes a terrible mistake in praying that he has a daughter, because he only has sons, which in Asian culture, sons are usually prized above daughters, and for some reason he wants a daughter, and so he prays for one, and his wife becomes pregnant with a daughter, and they're so happy, but then one day, like when she's like 6, their like livestock starts dying and they don't know why. And so he sets his sons to figure out why, and like his sons are like, "Oh, your daughter is killing the cows and eating their livers." And the dad doesn't believe them and throws them out of the house saying, "Oh, you're not my son." Like, why would you lie about that? And so then one day, so then they come back several years later because they miss their family, and their whole family is dead, and she's the only one there, and she won't say what happened to the family, but she, like, feeds them, and then they fall asleep, and like, one of the brothers wakes up, and she is on the other brother eating his liver, and then it's just this horrifying, horrifying fairy tale, and then she chases him, and he was given these 3 bottles by a monk, and he starts throwing them at her, and all these magical things start happening, like a lake appears, and she falls into it, but she escapes, and like all these brambles sprout up around her, but she escapes, and then finally he throws one bottle, and she like bursts into flames and burns and dies. And the moral of the story is you should want sons and not daughters. It's a Confucian value. It's a thing. They can have their fairy tales. They're not all so sexist, I guess, but, and especially more modern ones are, they have sad endings still, but not nearly like that. Another thing, fairy tales. I did some research for fairy tales in recent news, and I thought just a couple interesting things. Like next week in North Dakota, the American Cancer Society, a fabulous foundation, they do the Relay for Life, which is something that I participated in for the last several years, like since high school. And the North Dakota is doing one themed Once Upon a Cure, a fairy tale themed Relay for Life next week, and I thought that was really cool. And then in other news, ABC has proposed a new TV series called Once Upon a Time, which is a modern take on fairy tales, and it's actually from the writers of Lost, which I thought was interesting. I think Lost is a pretty good show. But I think something funny is one of the quotes from the from ABC is, it has a female protagonist who comes from a unique background. Now, that's a very vague description, and I'm not gonna say what, but I just watched this movie that had a vague description, and it turned out to be a horrible AIDS death movie. So, I think the description said, a series of events unfolds. And it was very vague, and then it turned out to be a horrible AIDS death movie. It was called The Sensei, and it was traumatic to watch. I just had to bring that up. Sorry. So that's really all I have about fairy tales, but I wanted to show you guys my sister, isn't she pretty, made me this fabulous card and sent it to me in the mail. I thought I'd send her, or give her a little shout out for this. I got this in the mail. I was so happy to get it. And it's just a bunch of pictures of us together. It's so cute. And then, her name's Allie, by the way. She's probably watching. Hi, Allie. And then also, tomorrow is election day. So, vote, vote, vote. Make sure you get your ballots in by tomorrow. I just got mine from Salem. My parents sent it, and I have to fill that out tonight and get it in tomorrow. Other than that... What is this? Okay. Just drink me. Okay, well, bottoms up. Oh, not again.